for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will we all pause for a moment of silence? Thank you. Housekeeping. If you have personal electronic devices or cell phones, can you please set them to vibrate or silent at this time? Moving on to item 3, public comment. Item 2, public comment. The Village of Broadview encourages citizen input. Those wishing to address the village board on the public comments must fill out the attached speaker request form and submit it to the village clerk prior to the start of the board meeting. The president will then call your name at the appropriate time. When addressing the village board, your remarks are limited to 3 minutes. When the president recognizes you, please state your name and address for the record, and please speak loudly. Your cooperation is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Redmond.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson.
Podium over there.
If I need Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Mayor Johnson.
Good evening.
Administrators and residents. I am thrilled to have the new 911 center and the renovations. I think it's money well spent, and I tell everybody, you get what you pay for. I want a couple of announcements. The Broadview Food Pantry is having some fundraisers, and one is coming up Thursday, May 23rd from 5 to 8. It is a big hunger night. If you come over, if you go over and you hear you're eating, you can request, we'll be there, it's a little form that a portion of your purchase will go toward the Broadview Food Pantry. So I hope, tell your friends, please eat up, we need the money.
That's at McDonald's?
And McDonald's here right on 17th and 22nd, okay? And then there's also a virtual online where you can donate. If you want to purchase like a sack of potatoes or whatever, if you don't want it to go directly to our food pantry, you can go through the Chicago Food Depository and earmark that money to buy potatoes, whatever else that you want to the Broadview Food Pantry, and they'll direct you how to do that. I volunteer. I want you to know that we had a rummage sale. We had a lot of people, even with the rain. We didn't make as much money as we wanted to make, but it is a step forward. With what was left, we gave to clients. I took a whole load of stuff over to the upscale resale because they're in our village. And so support the Broadview Food Pantry. We're doing a lot of good work for the clients and for the veterans. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Redmond. Ms. Gordon.
Hello, everybody. I just want to say, first of all, thank you to the people who have donated to ALS Association. The Walk to Defeat ALS is going to be held on June 1st at Cantini Park, or Cantini, however you want to pronounce it. I just wanted to say that if you're wanting to participate and join the walk, my team is called Tanya's Team in honor of my late daughter, Tanya. And if you want to just donate money, you can either donate online, go to walktodefeatals.org and look up Tanya's Team, or I do have a donation envelope with me tonight, and there are other people here in the village who have that. And if you're interested in receiving a yard sign that advertises the walk, please give me a call and let me know. I have about 4 of them available to hand out to people. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Ms. Gordon. With the, can you spell Tanya's first name? How are you spelling her first?
T-A-N-Y-A, Team.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, and that concludes our public comments. Moving on to item 3, communications. I have a ton of them, but I think first and foremost, we'd like to do the swearing in of Lieutenant Anthony Monks at this time. Okay, Lieutenant Monks, if you could raise your right hand and repeat after me, please. I,
I, Anthony Monks,
having been appointed to the office of lieutenant
having been appointed to the office of lieutenant
in the village of Broadview, county of Cook, state of Illinois,
in the village of Broadview, county of Cook, state of Illinois,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
I do support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the Broadview Fire Department
of the Broadview Fire Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Can you hold it? Put it on there. Perfect. Look at you.
Either side.
Okay, we'll move right along with communications. Let the record reflect that at 8:24, Trustee Jones has arrived to the meeting. On May 7th, we received communication from Chief of Police Steve Stetler from the Westchester Police Department. This is addressed to our Police Chief Kevin Eugley. It reads, on the afternoon of April 30th, 2019, an officer from our department was investigating two suspicious subjects in the area of Dickens and Mandrill Avenue in Westchester. When our officer approached the subjects, one of the subjects fled the scene in a vehicle, and the second was apprehended on the scene. Our officer gave a flash description of the vehicle. Officers from assisting departments observed a vehicle matching the description in the area. Officers attempted to stop the vehicle. The vehicle attempted to flee from the officers, however, was stopped a short time later without incident. The driver was immediately taken into custody. Upon an inventory search of the vehicle, officers observed what appeared to be suspiciously wrapped packages in a hidden compartment in the rear of the vehicle. A subsequent sniff of the vehicle by Officer Claimer and K-9 Officer Jacks resulted in a find of approximately 13 kilos of cocaine, as well as USC. The professional actions taken by Officer Claimer and Jacks resulted in the seizure of the vehicle, suspect cocaine, USC, as well as one Class X felony charge for the driver. I wish to extend my sincerest thanks to Officer Claimer and K-9 Jacks for their professionalism and assistance. Sincerely, Stephen Stetler, Chief of Police.
That's
I'm
nice.
sorry, I'm saying his name wrong, it's Stelter. That was very commendable, thank you. On June 15th, from 1 o'clock to 3 p.m. here at Village Hall, Boys Build and Fly Minicamp. Boys, calling all boys ages 3 to 8 to build and fly model airplanes for boys. Join Mayor Katrina Thompson for an awesome minicamp for Broadview's young adventurers. We will learn to build model airplanes and take them to the skies. For more information, please RSVP to Lily Sierra at 708-681-3600, extension 259. Or you can email Lily at Sierra, that's SSIERRA, at broadview-il.gov. A couple of weeks ago, we had the Community Shred Day. We had a couple of equipment malfunctions, and we're going to have another one on Saturday, June 15th, right here at Village Hall in the parking lot from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's going to be hosted by the Village of Broadview and Groups. On Saturday, June 1st, 2019, at 1 p.m., right here at Village Hall, we're going to have a ribbon cutting ceremony. A community project years in the making. Join the Village of Broadview for the unveiling of the new renovation of Village Hall and the Ike 911 Emergency Communications Center. Again, at Saturday, June 1st, 1 o'clock p.m., here at Village Hall. This is an announcement for the Broadview Park District Summer Camp 2019. Camp ages 3 to 13, the first session in June, from June 3rd to July 5th, second session from July 8th to August 9th. Summer camp is going to be held at the Beverly Center, 3031 South 25th Avenue, Broadview, Illinois. Flyers can be at either of the back tables if you need more information. On Saturday, June 22nd, from 8:30 a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m., right here at Village Hall parking lot, we're going to have our second annual community-wide yard sale. Again, flyers are on the back tables along with the application. Get those in as soon as possible because you want to make sure those are in. We only have limited tables space, so it's a first come, first served basis. And that concludes communications, Mayor.
Thank you.
Next, item 4, consideration to approve the following minutes. Minutes from the May 6, 2019 regular board meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by trustee Horn, seconded by trustee Tierney. Madam President.
Trustee Horn?
No question.
Trustee Tierney?
No question.
Trustee Senior?
No question.
Trustee Abraham?
None.
Trustee Jones?
No comment.
Trustee Miller?
No.
I have one correction,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Clerk. On the regular board meeting, you have it at the, in the council chambers at 2350. On May 6th, we were still at the Park District.
I will make that change and get the changes out. Thank you.
Okay. Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, you can. Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Senior?
Yes.
Trustee Tierney?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
And Madam President, that carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, item 5, consideration to approve the expenditures, grand total of all funds, $474,701.34.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Been properly motioned by trustee Abraham, seconded by trustee Tierney. Madam President.
Thank you. Madam Chair, Trustee Abraham, can you read the warrant list, please?
Yes, ma'am. For the warrant list, these are vendors that are over $2,500. First one is B&F Construction Code Services, $7,275.65. Commonwealth Edison, $2,901.58. Core and Main LP, $20,064.40. JJ Effect Incorporated, $5,025. Mavis Division 20, $6,000. Northeast Multi-Regional, $3,580. Norcom Public Safety Communication Incorporated, $4,481. Orlando Lawn Service, $3,050. Windstream, $3,629.40. Riley Construction, $318,120.91. Ross Financial Services Incorporated, $13,783.94. Sheriff's Work Alternative Program, $5,000. STP Transport, $5,650. Third Millennium, $7,273.39. Timothy J. Hicks, CPA, $3,125. Valor System Incorporated, $26,999. Yen Dung, $2,500. The total expenditures over $2,500 is $438,459.27. Total expenditures are $474,701.34 for a percentage of total of 92%. The funds that will be charged are General Fund, $124,738.23. Garbage Fund, $2,974.27. The Roosevelt Road Tip Fund, $127.33. Our Capital Projects Fund, $323,145.91. The Water and Sewage Fund, $23,715.60. The grand total for these funds is $474,701.34. End of my report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Trustee Horn?
Who is Yen Dung?
Commissioner Upshaw? It's probably a reimbursement.
It's a reimbursement.
To reimbursement.
Okay.
Anything else, trustee Horn?
That was it. Thank you.
Okay, trustee Tierney?
I have nothing.
Trustee Senior?
Nothing.
Trustee Abraham?
None.
Trustee Jones?
No comment.
Trustee Miller?
No.
Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Abstain.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Senior?
Yes.
Trustee Tierney?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Madam President, with the one abstention, this carries 6-0. Next item is item 6, Village Officer Reports, given at every second meeting of the month, starting with the Building Department Commissioner, Dave Upshaw.
Good evening, Mayor,
Good evening.
trustees, residents of Broadview. The April 2019 Village of Broadview Building Report is on file with the mayor's office and the clerk's office, and the highlights are as follows. For the month of April, we had over $104,000 in revenue. We had 27 complaints. The complaints dealt with garbage, no permits, and contractor registrations. On May 23rd, which is Thursday, 3 to 5:30 p.m., there will be an open house, a meet and greet with Cook County Commissioner Brandon Johnson of District 1. His district office is located at 6614 West North Avenue in Chicago. Nicor Gas will be installing a two-way communication device in the village of Broadview. The device will connect natural gas usage information and securely send it to Nicor Gas. Thank you. Most of the meters, the gas meters are in the village of Broadview on your homes and businesses are located outside, so they will be working outside. Nicor Gas has employed or subcontracted the work to be done to 3P Utility Services. And so they do have the proper identification, and they will be out, if they're not already out. I've seen them last week in the community putting these devices on. If in fact your gas meter is inside, then you should contact 3P Utility Services at 833-410-9592. 833-410-9592. I received some correspondence from Opportunity Alliance. Opportunity Alliance is a consulting group that we're working on as it relates to our enterprise zone. Last week, they attended the Illinois Association of Enterprise Zones Spring Conference in Springfield. Mr. Ridley was able to have public and private conversations with the Department of Commerce staff in attendance. Deputy Director of Business Development, Mr. Justin Heather, publicly stated that 14 applications were submitted and further indicated that he thought that there would be room for 14 new zones to be certified by his department. At this point, 14 applications were received. All were scored by the department, and the scores will now be given to the Illinois Enterprise Zone Board, and their next meeting will be July 24th in Chicago at the Department of Commerce office. And hopefully we'll get some great news as it relates to an empowerment zone designation, enterprise zone designation. And lastly, just wanted to let you all know that we will be moving forward with our senior housing project, and the mayor will talk about that in greater detail when she gives her report at the end of the board meeting. Mayor, board, that concludes my report. At this time, any questions?
Trustee Horn?
Nothing, thank you.
Trustee Tierney?
Nothing.
Trustee Senior?
No.
Trustee Abraham?
None.
Trustee Jones?
I was going to ask about the senior housing, but I'll reserve my comment until the mayor gives her report.
Trustee Miller?
In regards to the meter modernization that Nicor is doing, we could talk about this offline, but it seems like when Nicor does any types of upgrades or something to someone's property, it's always something that's damaged. My neighbor across the street complained about them installing a new meter, and they never replaced her grass. What steps are we taking to ensure that anything that, if they mess up anything, that they come back and repair or replace that?
I'm unaware of your neighbor or what that situation is, but going forward, we can talk offline, but you can let me know.
Okay.
And I can contact Night Court Gas and give them the information and move forward with the remedy.
Okay. I normally redirect them back to Public Works, but I'm gonna send them your way now.
You can send it to Public Works too.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Upshaw.
Okay, if any resident would like a copy of either the meter package or the meet and greet from the Cook County Commissioner Brandon Johnson, we have a couple of copies of it. All right, next item is the Finance Department Finance Director Tim Hicks.
Good evening, trustees, residents, staff. The financial report is on file with the mayor's office, but I'll give a brief synopsis of our financials year-to-date for April. Total revenues for the month of April were $719,865, while year-to-date total revenues are $15,013,304. Year-to-date revenues were unfavorable to fiscal 19 budget by $585,252. This is driven by other taxes, which is favorable by $940,000, but offset by property taxes, which are unfavorable by $946,000, and intergovernmental revenues, which are unfavorable by $401,000. Lastly, charges for services are exceeding budget by $192,000. As expected, property tax collection tapered off in April, but we anticipate in May and June that we will receive the final distributions for fiscal 19. Total expenditures for the month of April were $893,497, bringing year-to-date expenditures to $14.5 million. Year-to-date expenditures are about $400,000 favorable versus fiscal 19 budget. All departments are favorable or flat versus year-to-date budget. Overall, we expect the village to continue making financial strides as departments continue to the mayor's mandate to be fiscally responsible and work collaboratively. Revenues slowed down, particularly property taxes in April, where we received little or no tax distribution in the month of April. We did receive a distribution in May, and like I said, we anticipate receiving the final distribution for property taxes in May and June. We're at the end of the fiscal year, and revenues are only off by $585,000. And we still haven't received the final distribution for property taxes and other revenues that we anticipate collecting over the next 60 days. Expenditures year-to-date are trending favorable, but this is on a cash basis as we have not made the year-end accruals for expenditures we anticipate paying for fiscal 19 in the subsequent fiscal year. That concludes my report.
Trustee Horn?
Do I reserve questions related to our budget for that line item, or should I ask them now?
You can ask them now.
Okay, so I just had it's not really a question, but have a thought. I'm wondering if we're spending funds from previous fiscal years to accommodate some of the long-term projects that we want to do that was reflected in the budget that we spoke of earlier or that was sent to us. I'm wondering if it would be helpful to document like the expected return on those long-term projects. You know, so we're operating at a deficit and we're spending money from the previous fiscal year.
We're not operating at a deficit.
Well, in the previous budget, it reflects negative numbers for the funds.
Which fund?
For the budget that was presented.
No, that's not true.
TIF fund.
The
funds?
budget that was
TIF
presented
funds.
reflects negative numbers.
The fund balance, not the,
The fund balance reflects negative numbers, and we're spending money from previous fiscal years remaining balances, whatever term we use, we're spending money from, that was saved to accommodate long-term investments, projects, what have you. And that's a good thing. I'm just wondering if we should be documenting the expected return so that we can monitor and ensure that we're getting what we expected and we can make better decisions going forward.
I mean, you have to be specific on which projects that you're referring to, because we do
We
take
didn't
that
list
into
the projects.
consideration.
But we didn't list the projects. Like the presentation that took place at 6:30,
Yes.
and we went through it, and we went through it in enough detail. I mean, it was a summary. The itemized projects weren't listed where we're going to actually spend the money. But we know that there's a deficit. The numbers that were the expenditures exceeded the revenues.
So can I ask a question? Because trustee Horn, I'm not following you now.
Right.
As you talk about the funds, be specific in what fund balance are you speaking of? Are you talking about the water fund, the capital fund, the garbage fund, the TIF fund? We need to know exactly what it is you're speaking of.
Okay.
And I'm not clear on that. If you're talking about capital projects, we have the listing of all capital projects that's been allocated for this fiscal year budget. So just be specific in the question because I'm not following you now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a conversation that we could have in more detail in the finance committee meeting.
Probably.
All right. So can I get a moment to open up the budget and then we come back and I can identify it, or do you want me to take the time and do it right now?
No, we can go ahead to not prolong the meeting, but I don't want to prolong the meeting, and you got a more in-depth that probably can funnel through the finance committee meeting, or maybe you and trustee Abraham and Director Hicks can sit down to exactly target what fund balance you're speaking of so that you can get a clear objectives of what you're looking for how you hold accountability to certain financial contributions.
Okay.
So I don't know, but, I mean, I could circle back, but once we go through the line, we don't want to prolong it to get clarity, because we try to get all our answers, question, and understanding prior to the business meeting.
Well, so then I'll make a general statement for any fund that reflects a negative balance, regardless of what fund it is. Wouldn't it be helpful to just generate the expected return if we're spending money from previous years to accommodate long-term projects?
And then I think, again, for this business meeting, that's something that should have came up prior to, so that we're prepared to answer all of those questions to get the particulars to you.
Well, you guys been working on this for a while. It's not a sporadic question.
It is, because you're looking at multiple funds, and you're looking at our general fund, and you're not specific, and you clearly stated that it's a general, or it's a fund with a deficit, and you wasn't clear in what fund you were speaking of.
No,
So in
to
all due
provide-
please let me finish. In all due respect, if you need to look up whatever you need to look that up, but what I'm asking you is to come to a business meeting prepared by having that conversation with the finance chair and the finance director, so that we don't prolong the business meeting to get whatever your concerns are. We want to address them, but we also want to be very transparent in what you're asking, because what you're asking for is deficits, but you wasn't
No, that's not
specific.
what I'm asking.
No, there was. Look at the
So
tape.
if we're going to talk about, I spent 4 hours with, so maybe, Director Hooks, with all due respect, maybe you don't have the answer. I spent several hours going through the budget with Mr. Hood, and we talked about every line item reflected in the budget. And so it's not specific to the deficit. This is a general statement related to us spending money on projects, and wondering if it would be helpful to simply document the expected return from any project where we are spending money from previous fiscal years. That doesn't require you to do any type of in-depth analysis. That's just simply saying I will commit to providing a return on investment statement for any project where I spent money, so that we as a board can say, yes, that was a good decision, we are experiencing or realizing the expected return. Or no, we don't want to do that statement.
Trustee Horn, you're approaching this as if we are a corporation. We don't
and we're
make
not.
expenditures and investments seeking necessarily a return on investment. Like, there's
We don't.
no return
No.
on investment in
We don't sell
paving
products.
a road. You know, there's no return on investment for some of the things that we have to do from a capital project standpoint. Like, we don't utilize.
That's true.
We don't look at ROI on the capital that we need to do, because it is not the criteria that is used, that you would utilize to determine whether or not we're gonna do the project or not. Because we wouldn't do half of the projects that we do if we use that solely as a criteria.
Okay,
So
that's a
I
fair,
get what you're saying.
that's a fair statement, I understand that. So with something such as the IEPA loan, that will be a loan. That means we're taking and using money, we're borrowing money that we don't have. It's a loan.
That's not true.
That's not true.
How is it not true if it's a loan? If we
Okay.
have it, why we
Trustee
taking a
Horn,
loan?
I just gave a report on APA's financial.
Director Hicks, Trustee Horn, we spending a lot of time and you keep moving the conversation to something else. So let's be real clear on what it is that you're asking. When we get to the IPA loan, as it relates to the legislation, we can address all of those concerns and the monies and how we fund that loan back. But you went from deficits to funds
No,
to
I think I'm
ROI,
understanding
so you all over the place right
I
now.
don't think I'm all over the place at all.
Please let me finish, I have the floor. But what I'm saying to you is, you keep moving the conversation and moving the pieces. So with that being said, Trustee Tierney, do you have any comments?
Can we let the budget officer speak?
I have the floor.
Well, I
Trustee
spoke to him
Tierney?
for 4 hours, and if he can.
Trustee
provide
Tierney?
clarity,
I have
he
nothing.
should be able to speak.
Trustee Senior?
Nothing.
Trustee Abraham?
None.
Trustee Jones?
I got just a couple things. Director Hicks, you talked about us being 585,000 off in revenues. What percentage of that is going to be coming from property taxes? And do we know what the percentage of property taxes that we've already received is versus what's exposed at this time?
Yes, so we've collected about 85% of the property taxes that we levied for fiscal 19. So we expect over the next 2 months that we will receive all or more of that. Because, once the period is over, we still have about 60 days to that, they'll send in those funds for the prior year.
Well, I'm aware of the time, but that was, to your point, 85%. So would you say that this 15% is going to cover the 585,000 shortfall?
It'll cover that, and it also cover, you have to think that there's other revenues that we.
Well, I guess a better question
that'll come
would,
in as well.
pardon me, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I need to interrupt you. I guess a better question would be, 15% would be the equivalent of what dollar amount? Approximately. 750,000, 800,000? Mr. Hood, do you have the answer? I said, do you know what 15% of property taxes is going to cover? Approximate dollar amount? The reason I'm getting to this is, once we get 100% of property taxes, I want to make sure that we're,
About $900,000.
it's about 900,000, okay. So we would be talking about actually a surplus of about 3, approximately.
So you have to take that into consideration with the fact too, that we're still not done spending money for fiscal 19.
Well, I'm just talking about what you talked about. You talked about 585.
Exactly. So
And if I'm just using raw numbers based on
Exactly.
today's conversation,
Yes.
it's a positive number of 3 once we receive the money.
Yes.
Okay. And I apologize for my absence in the budget meeting, but I got a question, and it was brought to mind by the conversation with Trustee Horn. In our budget hearing, I guess we did not identify the specific projects. Is that an accurate statement? The specific capital projects, we did not identify them in the financial exposure in the budget?
We did not
Okay.
go over the
Or-
specific projects.
Okay, so
Yes.
we didn't go over specific projects, okay. And I guess just for Trustee Horn's sake, ROI is probably not the right acronym or the right question. I guess what she's trying to find out is what we're getting for our money. Not a return on the investment, but if in fact we're gonna spend X amount of dollars out of this fund, what are we getting? We're gonna get roads on Braga Drive, we're gonna get buildings somewhere else. I think that's what she's looking for, so that's why I'm asking, if the projects had been identified, the funds had been identified, I think we would have answered all of her questions. And I don't mean to speak for the trustee or you guys either. Just listening to the dialogue here, it just kind of clicked into my head.
But those projects have already been identified. You had a meeting with Trustee.
No, but it wasn't in the budget hearing, is the point that I'm making. And that's why I asked it, I prefaced it.
Since the time.
Huh?
in the essence of time. we need to-
Well, the budget hearing lasted an hour and a half. The budget hearing went till 8 o'clock. In the essence of time,
So
I don't think,
we
I don't
longer
think,
if we could went through each project.
you know what, we could debate this for a while, but I'm not gonna get into that. My point is that, I don't know, we don't have 50 projects. If we've got 4 or 5 projects, how much more time would it take us to say, we got this project, this is what fund balance, what fund is gonna come out of, this is how much it's gonna cost. It's just that simple. It wouldn't have taken very long. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about, what was it? That's okay. I'm going to wait until the mayor talks about the senior citizen thing. That's the other thing on my mind. That completes my comment.
Thank you, trustee Miller.
No.
Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
We're
I
not
mean-
doing a roll call, this is the finance department.
Thank you.
That's a committee.
Thank you, Director Hicks.
Okay, next we'll have the fire department, Chief
I'm
Tracy
already on
Kenny.
the next.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
The emergency responses for the month of April, during the past month, we responded to 246 emergency calls. They included one response to a garage fire in North Riverside, a natural gas leak in our own town of 17th and Roosevelt, one house fire in Stone Park, and a structure fire at Pioneer Park. We had a total of responses to Loyola 37, Hines 33, and Madden 3. Fire prevention, we had 141 total monthly activities and 98 violations cited. For the month of April, we billed $21,850 to Loyola, $22,650 to Hines, $1,900 to Catholic Charities, and $2,250 to Man and Mental Health, for a total billing of $48,650 in the month of April. I did want to mention that we put out today that we have our Camp Weekend 2, June 28th, 2019, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the fire department. It's for girls ages 10 to 15, and we'll waive lower and higher as we get kids coming into it. We have 5 signed up already out of 30 spots. ComEd is helping us and getting all the t-shirts for the girls. Lou Malnati's is providing lunch for them. So join us for a day of empowerment and come and hear about all the amazing things that girls can do too. We will have women here to talk about their awesome jobs, the kind of jobs where men usually dominated the profession, but that's changing because hashtag we can too. It's all about diversity and equality. You'll hear from women in jobs such as firefighters, police officers, welders, drone specialists, and more. So get the word out there. It's going to be a great camp for girls that we have every year. And that is all I have today.
Thank you, trustee Horn.
Nothing, thank you.
Trustee Tierney.
No questions, but I do have a comment. On Wednesday, this Wednesday, May 22nd, we have the Fire and Police Committee meeting right here at 7 o'clock. So be
And we
there.
have a big project coming up between police and fire that we're going to talk to you about that night. It's really exciting. We're going to be kicking it off this summer.
Okay, that's all I have.
Trustee Senior.
No.
What's the date for weekend 2, Count?
Yeah, of course, I just hit this one. I believe it's Friday, June 28th.
Okay. Trustee Abraham.
None.
Trustee Jones.
Nothing.
Trustee Miller.
No.
Thank you,
All right,
Chief
thank
Kenny.
you.
June
All right,
20th.
next we have the police department, Chief Kevin Ugly.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
In the month of April, the police department responded to 1,252 calls for service. 35 cases were assigned to the detective bureau, 15 were cleared, with 2 arrests being made. 15 previous cases were cleared with 3 arrests. So total for the detective division is 132 cases. 96 were cleared with 22 arrests with a 72% solvability rate. Some of the events we participated in training was a career day at Lindau School, medical marijuana, advanced roadside encouragement, participated in a Hines Hospital active shooting response training. That's the first one Hines has ever done, so it was a unique experience there. Attended the opioid epidemic in Illinois put on by the Illinois Municipal League. Also, we had the distracted driving campaign last month, and that was partly to do with the grant that paid for overtime. We actually had 74 distracted driving tickets, 110 tickets in total. So it's a stop for me for distracted driving, but one thing led to another. There were a couple of warrants and arrests, suspended licenses, arrests. Upcoming events is June 2nd is the second annual law enforcement torch run. It's going to start at the Westchester Police Department at noon on Sunday, June 2nd. We will go down Roosevelt Road to 70th Avenue, and will end up in Forest Park. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Trustee Horn?
Nothing, thank you.
Trustee Tierney?
I have nothing.
Trustee Senior?
Nothing.
Trustee Abraham?
None.
Trustee Jones?
What's the status of the triangle operation? Have you guys been actively, and when will you guys be back in Broadview?
They're not just, they were doing it like every, like second or third Thursday. Now it's gonna be as needed. So no longer gonna be a set date. If there's something happening in a particular community, you know, we got a shooting, murder, whatever it is, they're gonna.
And the reason I ask is because I know the season's changing and things tend to get a little bit different in the summertime.
It's warming up already, yeah.
Exactly.
Actually, yeah, maybe we just had an incident, one house over our border.
That's why I'm asking. Okay, well, so it's as needed now. Okay. That's it.
Trustee Miller?
None.
Thank you, Chief.
All right, next up, we have Public Works Department Director Matt Ames.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good
Board of
evening.
Trustees and everyone in attendance. You all have the Public Works Department report on file, but I will try and highlight a few things that I think everyone is curious about, and that is, A, the meter replacement. The meter replacement is going very, very well. In the month of April, there was approximately a little bit more than 400 meters that were swapped out. And we have had just a few hiccups in those installations. Sometimes we go into residents' homes and they have old pipes, so they're encouraged to bring in their own plumbers to make those minor repairs before the meters can be replaced. A final letter will be forthcoming, and the second and final letter informing the residents that they have received the first letter, and if in fact they do not respond by making an appointment, that the water service will be interrupted. So we're trying to expedite this and get it done before the summer's out. I know we've got some debugging with the conversion from units to gallons that has to occur. I believe we've got a meeting scheduled this Wednesday with all of the staff and the outside vendors. As you all would imagine, April has brought quite a bit of street complaints, potholes, and things like that, as well as forestry. And part of the challenge, as you all know, is the inclement weather that we've been having. And it's kind of difficult to go in and fill potholes when it's full of water. The good news is that we're prepared as soon as the weather breaks to go out and address those issues. In April, we were understaffed as we operated, but we are looking to bring on additional staff as recent as this Wednesday. We've interviewed, and we hope to have the staff to address what you said, which is an email for the sign. So we know that we've got an issue village-wide with our sign. We will be doing painting of crucial areas. We do have our compressor up and running. The equipment that we purchased has been very, very helpful and useful over the last couple months, as the department is being cross-trained in the operations of both front-end loaders, sweepers, and skid steers. And at that, Mayor, I will conclude my report and entertain any questions or comments the board may have.
Thank you. Trustee Horn?
With the replacement of the water meters, the costs related to going to an upgraded system, you know, and
so that we can capture accurate rates, et cetera. When I think of, I know that maybe the term ROI is not the right term to use, but the fact is that the reason it was prudent for us to do that is because we were not capturing the right numbers, or we were losing money or something related to that because we had such an old archaic way of managing the water rates or billing for the water. Is that an accurate statement? In summary, I'm trying to keep it simple. The reason we needed to go to an upgraded method was because the archaic method wasn't accurate.
Well, it's not necessarily that it wasn't accurate, and so, again, let's dispel that, because we've had a lot of residents claim that the high water bills was attributed to faulty meters, and that's not accurate.
Okay.
One of the chief reasons is we were expending approximately 240 man-hours a month, just a reason. So that would take 3 public works employees out of rotation for approximately a week. And that's including the rereads and some of the final reads. Couple that with the fact that we were experiencing not calibration issues, but issues that would be eliminated, obviously, with newer equipment. So,
Okay, and so that makes sense to me.
water loss.
Right.
Water loss meaning some meters were leaking. But
Okay, and so my only reason I'm bringing it up is because when we expend money, and we're spending money, it just seems like that's a good reason to spend money. And there's going to be a return expected from the money that we spend. Because in other factors, man hours, et cetera, we expect those things to decrease because we now have more sophisticated ways of capturing the water, saving water loss, et cetera. So it would just be helpful if in some type of way, I don't care if it's called a ROI statement, whatever statement, government statement, whatever the right terminology is used, to document that and communicate it so that we have it on paper and we can measure it and see it. What do you think?
I don't.
Well, you do, that's why you're Director of Public Works, but that's my
But,
Thank you.
yeah, in point well taken. I think, well, let me say this, Trustee Horn, I think most certainly with the expenditures of public funds for any capital outlay, I think the metrics can be measured in a variety of ways. Convenience, for instance, I know that we were able to look at a resident's home right away and tell her that you have a leak in your home. Our smart meters now triggers an alarm, okay? And because of her, this particular address, the normal usage, if it spiked above that, which it had, we were able to determine that she had a leak, although she argued, no, I don't have a leak, it's just me and my daughter, and I've had people, plumbers up in here and so forth and so on. Ma'am, our smart meters are saying that there's approximately 19 gallons that was used at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, so forth and so on. And simple suggestion was to put food coloring in the tank and to observe it, whether or not it would come out of the hole. And I didn't get back to the resident.
Right.
And let's, so when you talk about returns on investment, I think that for anybody that may have a water leak unbeknownst to them, as opposed to receiving a $300,000 water bill, they would much rather know about it right away. So, yeah, I mean, the capital purchases that we made in terms of equipment, one of the metrics is that, hey, we've got a mechanic that's not expending 20 hours in repairs and services.
Right.
And of
I just
course,
think it's valuable information that should not be ignored and should be documented and captured. But thank you. I won't take up no more time. That's obviously.
Thank you, Trustee Tierney.
I have nothing.
Trustee Senior?
None.
Trustee Abraham?
None.
Trustee Jones?
One thing, Director Daniels, you talked about we have some debugging to address as it relates to units versus gallons. I guess the question that I have is, so the smart meters are measuring the water in gallons versus units,
Yes,
and the old meters are measuring the water in units versus gallons.
yes.
So, do we have an impact on our financial infrastructure as it relates to billing in the two different methods? I mean, are these people being able to be billed accurately with our current infrastructure? Or do we have new infrastructure for the billing cycle? And is there an impact, good or bad? And, you know, can somebody answer that?
In terms of,
I mean, could it be cause for somebody to get an excessive water bill because they're being billed at the wrong rate, as units versus gallons, or gallons versus units? Or could they be getting away with not paying enough?
well, let me say this. Every location that has been replaced is being converted right away. Those individuals that have not been replaced, obviously, are on the old unit of measurement. So those are separate. What they're doing is they're migrating, okay, the old units to the new units according to the installation. So, for instance, if we haven't visited your home,
Right,
all right, you're still at 748 gallons
whatever.
for one unit, all right? For those individuals that we have replaced the meters in, it's capturing, or the conversion, rather, is the usage per gallon.
So you're using conversion already? I guess that's the question. So you're already converting it from gallons to units to gallons, or gallons to units?
That's correct.
Okay, that was the question.
But like with anything else, you know, there's gonna be one or two incidents that you have to make sure that the system is flawless. So there is, as with anything, I mean, you go to get a manicure, in my estimates, one nail may not turn out the way you want it. Okay? However, that doesn't mean that you have to accept it. So we are monitoring that, the building department, along with the public works, to make sure that everybody's billed fairly. And if in fact somebody thinks that they have not been billed fairly, then we do the proper investigation. We examine the meter, if it's an older meter, to make sure that it is performing the way it's supposed to. If it's a newer meter, for the most part, we haven't had, to my understanding, a whole lot of
Bless you. Bless you.
the new meters and the rate conversions from units to gallons.
Okay, so is there any further debugging that you're talking about? When you say debugging, exactly what do you mean?
Again, just rolling the whole program out. And one of the bugs is getting folks to respond. That's one of the bugs. One of the bugs that I found was that we've got letters that are being returned, returned to sender, undeliverable, vacant. So, yeah, absolutely, there are some bugs in the system. I mean, we've got,
So are the letters going out to the owners of the property or to the residents that are on file?
to
Whoever the water name is in the water?
That's right. And of course, you know, that when you,
I already know.
I mean, that system is obviously full of bugs.
Infested. Okay, well, that completes my comment. I just wanted to understand the billing aspect of it.
Trustee Miller?
Yeah, I have a couple. So, you mentioned the vacant homes or return letters that you're getting back. What process are we taking, especially on the vacant side, to ensure that those homes can get the updated meter? That's one question. Second question is, new development on homes. Are we ensuring that before those homes are sold to the next owner, that they have did the replacement meter service at the time of the sale then? Only have those two.
So, the letters that are being returned, I've instructed one of the employees to literally go and put it in the mailbox. Okay? As it relates to the homes that are being sold, no, we're not. Because you have to remember, the residents receive a letter and they're instructed to call you and I to schedule an appointment. Okay? And I'd rather stick with that system to make sure that it's blanketed as opposed to pulling out what may or may not be accurate from a transfer stamp within the building department. So, no, to your point, or to your question directly, no, we are not installing meters because somebody's buying a house or somebody's selling a house.
I don't mean buying or selling, I mean the homes that are being rehabbed. Like, if they're going through the process.
Not
Okay.
if the homeowner requests.
Okay.
If the homeowner requests it, absolutely, we want to expedite, we want to eliminate the process of you having to go through and scheduling and having somebody come out. If in fact, you come down to Public Works and you say, hey, look, I've got some plumbing work done, hey, you guys are putting in new meters, is there a possible way that I can get one expedited? Absolutely. We're going to try and expedite that service.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Ames.
Thank you, Mayor. You all have a good night. And we'll see you at the next one.
Thank you. Next is the Administrative Department, Village Administrator Letisa Jones.
Good evening, Mayor, Board Trustees, residents.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Here's my report for the month of April 2019. The Administrative Department had no insurance claims. As far as for water issues, the following were addressed: 5 penalty fees, 20 rereads, and 4 billing issues. The focus that has been in our Administrative Department is properly staffing each of our following departments for the summer. In Public Works, we had our first round of interviews in April. We're following up with our next round, which is here in May. In the Building Department, we're looking for a part-time administrative assistant, where we started our first round of interviews in April, and we're concluding in the month of May. For the Administrative Department, we are looking for a part-time cashier. We had our first round in April, and we're following up, wrapping it up in the month of May. Currently, there are no updates on any union contracts or collective bargaining units right now. And I'm happy to say that MB was sold out to Fifth Third. We completed that transition as of May 6th. We are up and running. We have connected the building department and also our water department. So we're running on Fifth Third right now, where we haven't had any issues as far as with our deposits and our transitioning for our checks and balances. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Trustee Horn?
I'm happy Fifth Third's in the neighborhood, but nothing, thank you.
Trustee Tierney?
I have nothing.
Trustee Senior?
Nothing.
Trustee Abraham?
None.
Trustee Jones?
One thing, in your report, you said you had 4 billing issues. Can you quantify the 4 billing issues? When you say billing issues, what does that mean?
Well, because we're doing the transition when it comes to our water, where we had a couple of our residents, where they had called me in order of where they either spoke with, another resident or a trustee, so they brought it to my attention in reference to, okay, what is going on with my water bill, and of where we addressed it, where we did the rereads, like our Director Ames said, we did the rereads to just ensure that, it wasn't on the village. If it was, then we initially we were proactive in order of looking at the bill, analyzing it, and if we had to do adjustments, we did it at that time. So we had 4 of them.
So it wasn't a reread, it was a billing issue, so were they billed excessively? Is that what you're saying?
It could have been, okay, how we started is that anything units over 5 units of where we do the rereads. So if it's lower than 5 units of water, we had residents that may have called and asked us, hey, you know what, can you just send somebody out in order to go to reread? And we did that as a one-time common courtesy for the resident, for the business owner.
So that falls under reread.
Yes, sir.
So what's the difference between a reread and a billing issue?
Well, because with the billing issue, if they have it, where we're talking about like the usage, or when they were questioned, they were asked, okay, you know what, I got 4 units of water and my bill was $39.81 versus last month, I got 2 units and it was $32.40.
So a billing issue would be part of the process for a reread?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That completes my question.
Thank you. Trustee Miller?
No.
So just let me clarify some things. The best practices that were in the past administration, we've changing some best practices to be more efficient. And so how we look at rereads and people, those that complain about their water billing, we've tweaked the process a little bit. So it's not the way that you initially implemented, however you guys did it in the past. Thank you, Ms. Jones.
Thank you. That completes our village officer reports. Next item is item 7, old business. Letter A, the resolution authorizing and approving an agreement with Edwin Hancock Engineering Company for the furnishing of professional design engineering services related to the IEPA low-interest loan water main improvements for the village of Broadview, county of Cook, state of Illinois.
Motion to approve?
Second.
It's been properly motioned by trustee Horn, seconded by trustee Tierney. Madam President.
Trustee Horn?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Trustee Tierney?
I don't have any questions.
Trustee Senior?
No questions.
Trustee Abraham?
None.
Trustee Jones?
I have no comment.
Trustee Miller?
No.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
No.
You say no?
No.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Senior?
Yes.
Trustee Tierney?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Madam President, this carries 5-1.
Thank you.
Item 8, new business. Letter A, presentation and approval of audit 2018-2019.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Properly motioned by trustee Abraham, seconded by trustee Tierney. Madam President.
We had the presentation at the last Finance Committee meeting. Trustee Abraham, do you want to speak highlights, or Director Hicks or Budget Officer Hood as it relates to the outcome of the financial audit?
Yeah, I'll say a little bit, and then I'll
Okay.
turn it over to Director Hood and Director Hicks. I thought it was a very well done. The questions were answered by the I can't remember his name. That showed. Pardon me? Jason. He did very well. It was a great presentation. He went through, because the trustees did receive the 2 different financial books, so whatever questions had come up, they were answered. So I'll have these gentlemen now, if they want to break it down a little bit further and do the highlights that he had spoke of.
Well, I'll be real brief. The audit was, we got an unqualified opinion, which is the highest opinion that you can get for the audit. They, in their management rep letter, they had some recommendations that we will definitely take into consideration and start to try to implement. But overall, the audit was, it took a little longer than the normal audit, because we had to do a what they call OPEB audit, which is other pension employee benefit, which is healthcare. The last audit was done like 5 years ago, and you have to do it every 5 years. So we had to get that audit done as well. So I mean, that's really much the main thing is that it's an unqualified opinion, and we get to do it all over again coming couple weeks.
All right, thank you. Trustee Horn?
I don't have anything, thank you.
Trustee Tierney?
I don't have anything.
Trustee Senior?
Nothing.
Trustee Abraham?
None.
Trustee Jones?
Nothing.
Trustee Miller?
No.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Senior?
Yes.
Trustee Tierney?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Passes 6-0. Next item B, September is National Suicide Prevention plus Action Month. Proclamation, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. So I thought it was important for us to make September National Suicide Prevention and Action Month. As you guys have read in the recent news, we've had 3 young people who has committed suicide, and so we in the Village of Broadview want to be proactive as we talk about mental health care. And since we have the living room right here in town, I think it's time for us to partner and start being more proactive and having these conversations to save lives. So the proclamation read where...
Before you read that, can I please get a motion in a second?
Yes.
I just wanted to let them know what it was about.
All right, I'll motion
Okay.
to approve.
Second.
All right, it's been properly motioned by trustee Abraham, seconded by trustee Jones. Madam President, please.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. So whereas September is known around the United States as National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, and most of us are quite aware of suicide, National Suicide Prevention and Action Month is intended to help promote and give attention to suicide prevention services available to us in our community. The goal is to speak openly about the topic of suicide to help erase the stigma surrounding it and to direct those in need to the appropriate support services. And whereas suicidal thoughts can affect anyone regardless of age, gender, race, orientation, income level, religion, or background, and whereas according to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, AFSP, more than 47,000 people died by suicide in the year 2017. And whereas suicide is the 10th leading cause of death amongst adults in the U.S., and nearly 20% of all suicides were completed by people ages 45 to 54. And whereas Broadview, Illinois is no different than any other community in the country, but chooses to publicly state and place our full support behind parents, local educators, mental health professionals, athletic coaches, PAC leaders, police officers, firefighters, and elected officials as partners in supporting our community and simply being available to one another. And whereas local organizations like Suicide Prevention Services, SPS, national organizations like National Alliance on Mental Health Illness, NEMA, and international groups like Hope for the Day, HFTD, are on the front lines of war that many still refuse to discuss, as suicide and mental illness remain too uncomfortable of a topic to talk about. And whereas every member of our community should understand that throughout life struggles, we all need occasionally reminded that we are all fighting our own battles. And whereas I encourage all residents to take the time and check with their family, friends, and neighbors on a regular basis and honestly communicate their appreciation for their existence by any gesture they deem appropriate, a simple phone call, message, handshake, or a hug can go a long way towards helping someone realize that suicide is not the answer. Now, therefore, I resolve that I, Katrina Thompson, do hereby proclaim the month of September 2019 as National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month in the Village of Broadview. Trustee Horn?
Nothing. Thank
Trustee
you.
Tierney?
Nothing.
Trustee Senior?
Nothing.
Trustee Abraham?
Definitely yes.
Trustee Jones?
No comment.
Trustee Miller?
So in the portion where we're putting our support behind the different entities, how hard would it be for us to add any organization that supports conversations with suicide awareness?
It's not.
Because it seems like we limited it to certain entities, and I would like for us to at least say that we're supporting any other organization that is a part of the suicide prevention service or services, for that matter. And it was one more that I had, and while you were reading it, I totally disregarded it. But for the most part, I just want us to say that we're supporting the entire initiative, regardless of what person is pushing the conversation.
Well, we have to, I understand what you're saying, but when we're talking about professional organizations versus community organizations that's not qualified or have the expertise at the level, we want to be real careful on who we partner with that can initiate the conversation. As it relates to individuals promoting this, we want to make sure that they get behind those partners that we support, like NAMNI, the Living Room, River Edge Hospital, Loretta Hospital. Those are the professionals that have the background and the expertise to have these conversations. So it's not to minimize or underestimate what an individual can do, but we want to make sure that they partner with the right ones to have the support behind them that can give them the expert level of these types of conversations.
I'm not asking us to name out organizations. I'm asking us to clearly state that just like we're supporting parents, we're also supporting extra organizations as well. I mean, a parent isn't versed in what we should do when those suicide talks come, just like an elected official isn't versed in what we should do in those suicide talk conversations.
Yeah, but it clearly states mental health professional. So what exactly are you speaking of?
So would you consider the Living Room a mental health professional?
Yes.
Okay.
Because they are.
I wouldn't, but okay.
They are certified counselors over there.
Okay.
They are.
I'm pretty sure that if I walk in and talk to the receptionist, she's probably not necessarily a certified counselor.
Yeah, but they recommend the counselors to have those conversations, and the police department have a really good relationship with them because they encounter these people on a day-to-day basis, so they actually recommend those that they meet on the streets to the Living Room for the additional counseling.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Clerk?
Okay, we're gonna take a vote to approve the proclamation. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, Madam President, this passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Item C, an ordinance adopting the annual budget for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Abraham, seconded by Trustee Jones. Madam President.
Trustee Horn?
I want to thank Mr. Hood, Director Hood, for spending all the time he did with me going through it. I did go through the entire budget line by line, and it's a sound budget. It makes sense, so thank you.
I have nothing.
Trustee Tierney?
I have nothing.
Trustee Senior?
Nothing.
Trustee Abraham?
I just want to compliment Director Hood and Director Hicks again for putting in the time and putting this together. And again, it was very well done and explained to the trustees. They were available to anybody that had additional questions. So again, I want to thank you for your guys' time to do that, to meet with the individual trustees, because as I always say, you know, they're the experts. Meet with them, ask them the questions, and get your answers. So thank you again, gentlemen.
Thank you. Trustee Jones?
I have none.
Trustee Miller?
So I didn't get to meet with you guys in regards to the budget. However, I understand how budgets work, and I appreciate you taking the time to sit with each department head and figure out what it is that they actually think they need. There are a couple of line items that I do want to talk to you guys about, but I'll talk to you offline because I know a budget isn't a final estimate of what we're going to actually spend, so I'll talk to you about it later.
Thank you. So I just want to say, not only to our finance department for doing a good job to bringing all the pieces together, but the budget conversation actually start way before the department heads meet with the finance team or the board of trustees meet with the finance team. The conversation is always a conversation. So we just want to say that we appreciate all the hard work that the two of you put together in, you know, making sure we get clarified answers, whether you spent 25 minutes with us or if you spend 6 hours with us. The budget don't start the moment we have the initial conversation. And a big kudos to our department heads. I lead by not micromanaging department heads because we work literally as a team. So I appreciate them when we have these budget discussions. And just let me give you a synopsis of what it looks like for us. So when we start the conversation for the budget meeting, the departments get all of their budgets together. It's their wish list. And after that, then they meet with the finance team, and then the budget officer usually tell them we could do this or we could keep it there, and then we all get together. Then we open it up to where we all meet together. So it's the department heads, the finance team, and all of the department heads. And we kind of hash out what we can help each other in their respective budget to balance their budget for operating costs. Once we solidify that, then we open it up to the trustees so that they have a window of time to go through the budget. They have all the questions that they need to answer, get answered so that they clear on what takes place for them to operate day-to-day operations with this budget. So this year, between all of the department heads and the clerk's office and my office working together, what we cut the budget by about $370,000 that we was able to trim, but that's all of us working together. It wasn't just one department giving up something, it was all departments giving up something so that we can have the budget that we have today. So we do plan to continue that format as we, work on our budget. So with that being said, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Senior?
Yes.
Trustee Tierney?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
And Madam President, the budget passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Next item, D, a resolution appointing trustees to committees and committee chairperson positions for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Been properly motion by Trustee Abraham, seconded by Trustee Miller. Madam President.
Thank you. Trustee Horn?
Look forward to working with Mr. Upshaw. Thank you.
You're welcome. Trustee Tierney?
I have no comment.
Trustee Senior?
No comment.
Trustee Abraham?
None.
Trustee Jones?
None.
Trustee Miller?
Just waiting on your announcement.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What's that?
Never mind.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Okay, trustee Miller,
Yes.
trustee Jones,
Aye.
trustee Abraham,
Yes.
trustee Senior,
Yes.
trustee Tierney,
Yes.
trustee Horn.
Yes.
Madam President, that carries 6-0.
So just let me say, so that the public knows, so the committee chairs for Water, Drainage, and Health Committee is trustee Judy Miller. The Finance Committee is trustee Judy Abraham. The Police and Fire Committee is trustee John Tierney. Street Sidewalks and Alley Committee is trustee Andrea Senior. Business License Committee, trustee Sherman Jones. And Public Property Committee is trustee Verena Horn. So be looking out for their announcements when they're gonna host their committee meetings. So I'm sure they're gonna be doing that soon, that we know Fire and Police is this week. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next item E, a resolution agreeing to indemnify the state of Illinois for photo enforcement equipment attached to IDOT facilities for the village of Broadview, county of Cook, state of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by trustee Abraham, seconded by trustee Jones. Madam President?
Thank you. So the purpose of this resolution is to memorialize the village agreement to identify and hold harmless the state of Illinois for any claims that may be made against the state of Illinois, its employees, agents, and the Department of Transportation as a result of attachment and operation of photo enforcement equipment to the IDOT facilities. Trustee Horn?
Nothing, thank you.
Trustee Tierney?
Nothing, I'm just excited to get this going.
Trustee Senior?
Nothing.
Trustee Abraham?
None.
Trustee Jones? Trustee Miller?
No.
Roll call, please.
Yes, Madam President. Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Jones? Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Senior?
Yes.
Trustee Tierney?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Madam President, this carries 6-0.
Okay.
Item 9, applications for the authority to expend funds. We have none at this time. Item 10, village clerk. Just wanted to reiterate the second go-around for the shred day. Again, we had a shred day. A lot of people came out. We had some equipment malfunction, and we promised that we would get a second one going. So this next community shred day again is Saturday, June 15th, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. right here in the village parking lot. Madam President, I don't have anything else at this time, so we're going to go to item 11, Village President, Mayor Katrina Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. So first of all, I would just like to say, welcome home, Broadview. We are finally back in the village chambers. And it's a really good feeling. So when I think about the conversation that took place tonight and Trustee Horn asking about the ROI, when we look at our return on investment, this is part of that investment. So this is how you can look at return on investments. When you look at streets being repaved, that's not really an investment, but when you invest, like securing investments with bonds and securities and stuff like that, that's when you start looking at your return on investment. What does that maximize? So when you look at a facility like this, and we took bonds out to do this, now we're looking at our return for investments. Another good example of a ROI would be the IEP low-interest loan. Although we complete infrastructure, but the infrastructure for the water mains, that's an investment because those infrastructures water mains are a long period of time. So like the current infrastructure that we have for our water main, some of it is probably 60 to almost close to 100 years old. So when we look at our return on investment, we look at spending money to make a long-term investment such as replacing water mains. But streets, I mean, that's gonna always be evolving over so many years that, what we can spend. So not to say that we minimize your concerns, but when we look at investments, you gotta say, how can we make it tangible? And you look at tangible items like a building or water infrastructure, anything that's infrastructure that's long-term, like that's gonna last longer than us, okay? I do wanna say, I think the promotion of Lieutenant Monks was a great promotion. This guy have so much wealth of information to give back to the village of Broadview, so I'm so happy. I'm gonna miss him as the inspector because he's so thorough in his job that he do. I hope he still continue to be that thorough in his new role as a lieutenant, but just to get behind him and support him in that leadership role, because now it's managing people, which is different than managing a project. So we have great aspirations for him. The clerk did announce that on June 15th, we will have a day for the shred day. Hopefully the mechanics is working on the truck. But also the same day, we doing a build and fly, and that's for young boys ages 3 to 8. We're gonna show them how to build airplanes. So that'll take place here at the Village Hall, and that's from 1 to 3. Property exemptions, if you have not applied for your property exemptions, whether you're a senior or you own your home, go to the Cook County Assessor Office and apply for your exemptions. We're not in the cycle for them to reassess your property yet, but you can apply for this every year, so this is something we should be applying for every year. So I'm encouraging all homeowners, whether you are a senior or just a person with a mortgage that's got taxes, apply for your exemption because you qualify for it and it's your money to have. I went to a seminar that the assessor had, I think, one day last week, and he was just talking about if you had not filed for an exemption in the last 4 years, you're able to qualify for the past years if you haven't did it. So if it's money on the table, don't leave it on the table. Make sure you apply and get what's due to you. Communication. So as we go through this, part of my platform when I ran for mayor was to be able to effectively communicate with our residents. And so we got a functioning website. We do social media. We do robocalls as reminders. So I think the last thing for us to do would be the email. So getting on the email, because we do get some concerns with the robocalls because of past history of, the misuse of the robocall system, but I think we use it in a very responsible way today. But some people don't want to get on a robocall because of things that happened in the past. So that prompted me to go into a more of an email blast type things where you can get a reminder through an email. So we're going to be collecting email addresses and putting that database together so that we can communicate. Now we have several sources. So we have our newsletters, soon to be email blasts. We'll still do the robocalls until we get the emails up and, be more efficient for reminders, and then the social media. So please, when your water bill come out, it's going to be a line on there to collect email addresses. So if you don't mind giving us your email address, this will be the first step. Or when you log onto the website, it's going to prompt you to put in your name and your email address so that we can capture the data so that you can get on our email list. And finally, I would just like to say, it's hard working with people when you want to move forward. So I'm very pleased to say that as we started this project to renovate this building and we had to completely move out over to the fire department, the Broadview Park District, we called them and they stepped up to the plate for us. They didn't charge us to use the facilities. We had all of our committee meetings there, all of our special board meetings, even if we had meetings with investors or people looking to do business within the village of Broadview and we didn't have the space at the fire department, they allowed us to use their meeting space and they didn't charge us. So we are forever grateful for that type of relationship. So when we talk about the different taxing bodies, these are the relationships we should have because our tax dollars play into all of these different systems, and I'm sure if the library was up and functioning, we could have went there as well. But nevertheless, I'm here to support all the taxing bodies. I'm sure the newly elected trustees and some of the trustees on the board want to support the taxing bodies as we move forward because at the end of the day, we're all friends and neighbors. And so that's the platform that we want to create, that we're friends and neighbors and that we can work together even if we have differences. We do have some issues with the library as it relates to the general contractor bailing out on them and how they make that deal out and how they make up for what needs to get done. And so we'll just continue to wait to see what that's going to be. But I don't want it to be where we bashing them or we talking negatively about them, only because at the end of the day, it's Village of Broadview Public Library. So it's still us, so we should be helping them, but at the same time, that leadership over there has to be held accountable. The same accountability that you all put on this village board, you should be putting the same type of pressure on that board as well to get the job done and to be diligent and to be open and to listen to those experts that can help you. Some of the elected officials over there, they still want to sue the village. And so, we have to start holding people accountable. And it's not that we're running from a lawsuit, but why we keep suing ourselves when you haven't diligently done your job to get all the players to help you move that project along. So the only thing that I'm asking is that you all hold them the same accountability that you would hold us to the same standard. I think that would be fair, and that would be accountability at all levels. So regardless of how you feel about the different conversations, it is what it is. We just have to move forward. But we have some really good relationships with the Park District, and we have some really good relationships with our schools. So hopefully we can build that same relationship with the library and move forward and help them get this project and get the library open and functioning, and just let the past be the past and just move on to the future and the future of Broadview. So with that being said, that's all I have.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by trustee Jones and seconded by trustee Tierney to adjourn this meeting. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, we are hereby adjourned at 9:42 p.m.